Okay, now fast forward to, I think, 2004. There, all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, like at 4 a.m., hundreds of people are called in. You need to report back to the base right away. And buses were sent out and picked people up from their housing, and everybody showed up. And Dave Miscavige was there, and he was wearing his like nighttime, his like pajamas, and he was literally walking around waiting for everybody to show up. And then he basically explained to us that this guy who was the CMO International, his name was Marc Yeager, was bunking with another executive in CMO who was named Guillaume Lessev, and he was the executive director international. And every day when Dave would have meetings with these two guys, he would tease them and torment them about how they were gay, and how, because they lived together, he knew they were up to stuff. And this went on for months, and he would always tease them. Well, this night when we got pulled in, Marc Yeager had decided that he wasn't going to take it anymore, and he dragged his mattress out of his room halfway across the property and put it basically in a field of dirt, and just decided he was going to sleep there. When Dave went by his room that night, he saw that he was gone and the mattress was gone, and then that's when he ordered, okay, somebody go find Marc Yeager and call everybody back in. And after he explained this whole thing to us, he basically said that it was our fault that Marc Yeager wouldn't sleep in the same in the room that he was assigned, and that we were all going to go overboard. And 100 people were thrown, because we couldn't go on the lake anymore, we were thrown into this swimming pool that's at the property. It's called the Star of California. It's like a ship that's been built into the hill, and it has a huge swimming pool. And we basically, one by one, had to just walk off the diving board into the pool, like walking the plank. It's just like those are the kind of things, like being woken up at 4 a.m., being dragged in, being thrown in the pool, and then basically being told, you guys are useless and you can't get anything right, and then go home, you know. It's just like things like that, where incidents like that were regular occurrences at the int base. And
it's like hazing, but worse. It's being done by a church that says that their religion, that gets tax-exempt status, that presents themselves as the alternative to psychiatry, that says that they are going to help us all and all of mankind. You're right. This is really sick.
Yeah, there's a story on the internet, and if you Google musical chairs int base, it is a tear-jerking story of something that Dave put several hundred staff through, and basically threatened them to split them up from their spouses. And it's too long of a story to tell right now, but somebody did write it up, and it is on the internet. If you Google musical chairs int base, you can read the whole thing. It's insane. But even during that time, people were made, as punishment, people were made to sleep under their desks for weeks on end until certain achievements or milestones were met. And until those were met, that's it. You literally, when the day was over, you went to sleep under your desk. And then you got up in the morning, you went and took a shower in the garage, the estates facility there, and you never went home. And if your wife was in a different area of the church than you didn't see her, because you were sleeping under your desk, and that's just the way it was. And that's another thing that sometimes he would even forget that he had ordered people that they were restricted to the property and they couldn't go home. And months later, somebody would say, well, you know, I'm not going to go home anyway. And he would be like, well, why not? And he'd be like, sir, we've been restricted to the base for 3 months now. And it would literally be like, oh, that was only meant for like a day or two. You know, and this is like 4 months later. You've been sleeping under your desk for 4 months. So, there's a lot of, and the thing that's happening right now is, in 1990, when I arrived to Golden Era Productions, there was 1,200 staff that worked at that facility. It's a fairly sprawling complex. It's actually over 500 acres, and there's several international management organizations that exists there besides Golden Era Productions. That's also where Religious Technology Center is located, which is the organization that Dave Miscavige is the chairman of the board of. And there's also about 4 or 5 other church organizations that are housed there. Well, as of 2007, there was about 400 people left that work at that facility. And those 400 people are still being demanded to do the work of the 1,200 people that were there in the early 90s.
I can't see you now. I can't hear you now. You're not here now. La 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 la.